off the set. And it needed it. I tend to junk it up, and that's my fault. But this morning it's kind of clean. We've got the turtle box from Rick's Pro Truck. That thing is freaking awesome looking. The winner of our bowl pick'em has got to get in touch with me, or I can't give him these prizes because I can't. ESPN doesn't allow you to DM people or something that are in the league. I don't know what it's called. I don't think I can. You can check. And then we've got Juice Kiffin on the set. The bobblehead guy from Illinois sent it to me. I didn't even ask for it, which was really nice of him. In fact, I got to get in touch with him. We've had a couple of conversations over the last 15 years, but I haven't talked to him in a minute. It's been a few years. We've got the Nikes from Finch and Kelly, custom Nikes with the Out of Bounds logo and the Whiskey 61 logo. And then we got the Tito's helmet, which is always popular when I carry that to remotes. That's a conversation piece, Jackson.
Big time.
You know, no doubt.
Everyone loves Tito's.
It's true. It's true.
Even though you can't get it in the state right now, but
yeah, the ABC, the struggle. Golly, I feel for my for our local restaurants and wine and spirit stores. But it's a cool helmet, so you can check out the set, and it looks pretty clean today. And go to YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports, YouTube, and search Out of Bounds Sports. So,
wait, that guy clearly does custom bobbleheads, right?
Yes, he does.
I mean, we kind of have to get a bobblehead
for us.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get one.
Yeah, I mean,
it just needs to be me in a pullover with a hat.
Yeah.
And headsets on.
Yeah, headsets.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. They got to be cool, like the ones I'm wearing.
Yeah.
What am I wearing?
Beats.
I got Beats on right now. So if you go to YouTube and search Out of Bounds Sports, you can see my Beats headsets.
Oh, we got it.
Headset. Are these the new ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wore Wilkes's forever. I mean, those lasted.
Oh, they last forever.
He never used them.
Especially in here.
And, I mean, I had them for several years. Yeah. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're about to drop some Lane Kiffin audio. Lane Train. I can't believe LSU and Ole Miss are. I mean, you can't be. I mean, you really. LSU and Ole Miss are going to play the year that Lane leaves Ole Miss to go to LSU. It's just, is there a coach in the country you would take over Lane Kiffin? Whoever you, I mean, if you're an Auburn fan today, if you're a A&M fan, Texas, I mean, I know Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina,
right.
Kentucky, I get all that. But Ole Miss obviously would take Lane. Yeah. Alabama. I mean, you know, that's an it. You know, Lane's time there was controversial to say the least.
Successful.
And that's right. That's a good point. It was successful and controversial. I'm not going to share all the stuff that we know from, you know, because we know a lot of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, both media and people, but there is a group there that wants him, and then I guess a group there that maybe doesn't. There are people that are adamant that even though Saban plays the role in the part, and Lane is determined for them to be, I guess,
homies,
mentor protege.
Yeah, no doubt.
I still think at the end of the day, I mean, I will say this: Saban surprised me. And maybe it shouldn't because of the power of CAA and as a firm in entertainment and sports and everything else and Sexton and all that. But, I mean,
the endorsement.
He did. He endorsed.
Hard.
I mean, he endorsed LSU and Kiffin on national TV. And, of course, Lane, now he didn't go as far as the quote that Lane shared about, you know, LSU, what Saban told him about the LSU job. But I think I was surprised he took one for the team.
He definitely did.
Yeah. But then I think, you know, CAA still I mean, even though Saban's got a ton of money, they're still putting him in deals left and right. And I'm not talking about the Mercedes dealerships where he teamed up with the the LSU booster and that group. I'm talking about everything else that he's doing, as y'all know, all the different things. And then the speaking engagements that they book for him. And I don't know what Saban gets. I would think it's around 100K.
Minimum.
Yeah, and there could be some, yeah, you're right, like a Google or one of those. I mean, I'm sure it's tiered out, but a Procter & Gamble, Pepsi, Google, those type companies can drop even more. So, and I don't know how that's structured too, as far as, Saban's, when he does something like that, does he take all cash or does he ask for like plane hours? Not just to get there and back. I'm talking about for other, I don't know how that works.
Like he's got all that.
I don't know that he does. I mean, he did when he was the coach at Bama.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know that Bama still has him on payroll. So he may have Sexton may have still negotiated some plane hours into his deal. But
how hard is it to pick up the phone and call?
Well, that's true. He can call a booster
Call the airline.
Nah, I don't know.
And tell him I'll strike. We can do a deal, but I need free miles.
But I haven't seen him endorse them.
No, I haven't.
Any of them.
Oh, I'm saying that'd be my first move.
Well, then yeah.
But he's got that.
I guess possibly. Yeah. Anyway, he's not worried about getting on a private plane today.
No.
If he wants to, he can. That's a good point, Jackson. All right, your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Total Transportation of Mississippi offers nationwide and regional routes for solo and team drivers. And how about this? Weekly pay and monthly bonuses powered by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Frequent home time, full benefits, paid vacation, powered by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Their website is totalms.com. Apply to a great company, great pay, and full benefits, and weekly pay and monthly bonuses, driven by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Totalms.com. You can apply on the front page, totalms.com. Let's go with the Kiffin. So Kiffin was asked about, it's funny, Kiffin's turned into one of the, we all remember the picture of he and Quinshon Judkins. Judkins wasn't in the picture. Lane sitting in high school bleachers in the state of Alabama, Judkins' senior year. And that's, that was a big deal. I mean, he's by himself. It's cold. It was looked like late November, early December. I can't remember, but it was late in the year. Maybe they were in the playoffs. And now Lane is the only one that I know of that's going to see portal recruits. And this is what he had to say about it in a press conference.
I just know how I do things. There's a good and bad to it. I'm extremely competitive, and I don't really do well with no. So that just makes me more competitive when someone says no. So sometimes that happens in recruiting. They say no. But I think that's my job. That's my job to LSU. And kind of on a different note, when people ask about the social media and why do you do it, everything that I do is for the place of where I coach at. For that school, for those players and those fans. And that makes me not very liked a lot of times by other ones. And so it's the same in that. Like my job, I'm hired here, is to go sign the best players, regardless of whether that means I got to go get on another plane or find a plane and show up somewhere and walk through Knoxville Airport, to find the guy. And that's just kind of how I work. And I like that because I think that wires in really with Louisiana people, because I think that's how they think. Like, no job's too small, and find a way to go get it done. No, I just know how.
All right, that's really good right
Jeez.
there.
And to tie it back into Louisiana people.
Yeah, he's
so good.
He's been on point for a while now. The last 2 or 3 years at Ole Miss, and now the last, what are we on, 90 days or close to it, in Baton Rouge. There's no telling what he's going to do. So he is now, a lot of people would look at it and say, well, I'm at LSU. I don't have to do that. I don't have to fly to go see Sam Leavitt or Seaton, the offensive tackle, because we're LSU. We had him in. We made our pitch. I know we're better. I know we're a top 3 job in college football. I said it earlier. 3 different this is unbelievable. Listen, 3 different coaches won national championships this century at LSU. That's how good a job it is. And 2 of them are not good head coaches. Again, trip over talent. You trip over your first 15 to 18 players in your signing class every year because they're from Louisiana and they can play. I mean, every year, man, we've got 17 or 18 in the bank. We just got to go find 6 to 8 guys. And we can handpick. We can go down to Miami, grab one from Mississippi, which they did. I mean, they do a lot, right? Or 2, sometimes 3. Grab one from Houston. And if we want to go out to LA or whatever, we'll do that. But Lane has now decided, as much as people want to beat up on him as far as, hey, he's arrogant, self-absorbed, has no self-awareness, doesn't really, I don't think, not even sure he has the emotions of possibly really loving people, but maybe he does. I do think he's wired a different way and on the spectrum to a certain extent.
Yes.
And there's being on different spectrums.
Sure.
But having said all that, he doesn't believe that he's above going and getting on a plane and going and hunting and recruiting a portal kid. I mean, high school kids always come in to your campus, and for years, you go into their home, and you go by the high school football office, right? Sherrill did it. Brewer did it, right? Tuberville, Cutcliffe, Sherrill, all through that time. Even Kroom and Ogeron, even though those were disasters. Mullen, Freeze, right? Matt Luke, Moorhead, Lane Train, Mike Leach, and so on. Now today, a lot of assistant coaches and head coaches have gotten lazy because they'll just say, well, it's just a portal game. We're not even, instead of expending a lot of investing and resources and energy and my bandwidth and time, I'm not even going to do it because they've convinced themselves it doesn't matter when it does. Because, yes, high school recruiting still matters. And they're checking out. What I'm finding with Lane is he's ramping up both.
Yeah.
Now, he landed that, he and Pete, and give some credit to Durkin before.
Sure.
But they landed that defensive class at Ole Miss a couple of years ago that kind of came of age this year. Mm-hmm. And people are very excited about that front, as they should be going into this year. And again, I think that defensive front, plus they added much better pieces on the defensive side of the football than the offensive. Not that they didn't add some potential good pieces on that side, but they loaded up on defense because that was Golding's thing. But, Lane was a part of that. And to me, Lane is ramping up high school and portal at LSU. Like, he may be the only guy that has a chance to, and I don't mean pull away like Saban did for that 8 or 9 year, 10-year window, or Smart did for that 3 to 4 year window, or possibly Urban Meyer did for 2 or 3 years and Pete Carroll did for 2 or 3 years in the 2000s, right?
Right.
And Urban at Ohio State.
Yeah.
I need to throw that in because what Urban did stocking the roster at Ohio State was filthy and disgusting, and in a good way if you're a Buckeye.
Right.
But what I see from Lane is he's not going to allow them being his assistant coaches and his recruiting in-house staff to say what I think a lot of staffs are doing around the country, and that is, I don't have to make that call. I don't have to call that junior or senior in high school. I don't have to run the roads. I don't need to go by high school offices anymore. I mean, Lane was taking pictures left. I mean, he's bouncing around high school football offices in the state of Louisiana left and right. Other coaches have decided we're not going to run the roads. We'll just let them point, click, rev share into the bank account, and we'll see what we can do in the portal. Lane is so hungry for a title because, again, if you want to call him this, you can say friend's probably a stretch, but acquaintance, Kirby Smart, has 2. The guy who he looks up to is named Nick Saban.
Yeah, 7, 8.
Has 6.
6.
The other guy that he looks up to, Pete Carroll, has 2. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then while he and Ed Ogeron again are as much of an acquaintance as Lane can have,
Maybe even friend.
He looks at that and says,
I'm better.
"You damn right he does."
I'm way better.
I mean, and he knows he's better. And Sark doesn't have one, but he's got 2 college football playoff appearances, and he knows he's better than Sark.
Oh my God.
You know,
I just feel like that'd be a mismatch. Like if those two,
like he's way better than Sark
so
today.
much better.
I mean, we thought Sark was going to be really good. He's had some success. I think they're in for some pain. I mean, it will be mitigated through. It'll be a gradual, very, very slow gradual decline because Texas just gets players,
Right.
So they can still mask some of Sarkisian as a head coach dumb decisions like firing the best defensive coordinator in the country in Pete Kwiatkowski and hiring Will Muschamp. And Will's more than solid, but he ain't Pete Kwiatkowski. So
World.
I just said ain't.
Why in the world?
What?
What does he do? He just doesn't want to win one. Just opting out of a championship. Not that they could win it this year. Well, I guess they could as Texas, but why in the world would he fire him?
I don't know.
Does he like? I mean,
Like
him and Will have a
Kwiatkowski carried Texas the last few years.
yeah.
I mean, they've been
On
on
offense.
they've been on a downward spiral on the offensive side of the football for some time.
Did he and Will have a relationship? How do I mean, props to Will Muschamp for sneaking in
yeah,
there.
they know each other. Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Muschamp's a likable guy.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I mean, that's
What does that have to do with whether you're a top 5 or top 10 defensive coordinator?
no, not top 5 time. Whether you get hired or not.
Oh yeah, I think Muschamp's incredible because
Interview.
of his nickname's Boom.
Yeah.
And Muschamp's always fired up. And, yeah, I can get up on the whiteboard. I can show these plays, and I can do this. And let me tell you about. I think every 4 words he goes. And I coach for Nick Saban, and then he says something.
Yeah.
And when I coached with Nick, and and when I coached with Saban, and I think he says that over and over and over and over again. And that's why he got the head coaching job at Florida and the head coaching job at South Carolina, and now he's with Sark.
He's made so much money to be very, very
Oh,
subpar.
Muschamp's made a fortune, and now he's a defensive coordinator for the Texas Longhorns. Hey, y'all, Pathway Healthcare has 3 locations in Mississippi, Jackson, Laurel, and Columbus. Pathway Healthcare delivers real medical treatment for addiction and mental health, not lectures. They offer virtual services, which helps employer groups and workers' comp patients, and take all insurances within the state of Mississippi. Call Pathway Healthcare today, 1-844-PATHWAY. Patients can get in within 24 to 48 hours. Pathway Healthcare has 3 locations in Mississippi, Jackson, Laurel, and Columbus. I've got a question on the Golden Moon Casino text line. Bo, how many wins will it take for Levy to keep his job in Starkville? Steve Robertson said 7 last week or the week before. That's a tough. First of all, I think it's a brutal, extremely difficult path to get to 6. I do not see Levy getting to 7. Okay, so,
He ain't getting a 6.
huh?
He ain't gonna get a 6.
So you don't think that would be winning the 3 non-conference games, which one of them is a Power 4 game at Minnesota in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Not that Minnesota's great,
Still.
but PJ Fleck has won at a nice level at a place that has no players in their state.
They're rowing the boat.
Okay, you like to row the boat.
I like row the boat.
Okay.
Drew Moak's fault.
So here's the deal. He has to win, or if he drops that game, he's got to win, 5 more games outside of whoever the hell they play, La Monroe and Tennessee Tech or something.
Oh, Lord.
So the question is, can he win 4 Power 4 games if he wins 3, counting Minnesota? Or can he win 5 Power 4 games? That would be going. He's playing 10 Power 4 games. So is Ole Miss. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
An extra SEC game plus your P4 non-con. Again, Mississippi State's playing at Minnesota, week 2. Ole Miss playing Louisville, week 1, neutral field, Nashville. So y'all are following me here. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Pete Golding to go 8-4.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's with Trinidad. And he was handed the keys to something that was rolling.
Yes.
And he's got some real nice defensive pieces coming back along with, Trinidad and Lacey on the offensive side of the football. Now, Ole Miss cannot sustain, like Trinidad and or Lacey cannot get banged up at all.
Ooh,
Because you're trying to do this soft landing with Pete. You were already in position, even by the time Lane left, to land a bunch of defensive players. Credit to Golding and what they had done in preparing for the portal for weeks. And then you landed Trinidad and Lacey. Without them, you're looking at 6-6, maybe 7-5. For Lebby, do you believe that he can go 5-5 in Power 4 games?
For what? What?
That's what you're talking about to win 7 games.
How many Power 4 games has he won in his tenure? Count on one hand, right?
2.
Yeah.
He won them this year. He beat Arizona State at home in a walk-off. And he beat Arkansas on the road. Did I miss one in year 1? No, he only won 2 games. And that was UMass and, again, Shrimp Po' Boy Tech.
He ain't tripling his career.
So he would have to go 5-5. No, I don't see that.
Nah.
Somebody just asked me, No. I don't see him going 5-5 in his Power 4 games. Could he go 4-6? Possibly. I think there's a chance. I think the percentages are low.
Yeah.
But hold on, let's look. 4-6. Matt Moscona, ESPN Radio out of Baton Rouge at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Sound Warning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Low Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Ooh, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't bragging if you can back it up.
Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, will join us at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Show is brought to you by the amazing Rack of Lamb. Highly recommend. Rack of Lamb. Mixed grill, you can do that at Kessler Prime and the Renaissance, KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. You get a combination of the bacon, the filet, and the rack of lamb. KesslerPrime.com. Don't forget that Elijah Craig Bourbon is the official bourbon of the Out of Bounds Show. Award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon. Award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon is the official bourbon of the Out of Bounds Show. Cool. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live for you on the Out of Bounds radio app. Congratulations to all three teams for winning a midweek game. And I know it's midweek, but those add up. You can't drop them if you want to host. So everybody wants to host. I say everybody. Many teams want to host. And our three teams love to host and have hosted many a times. And so MSU, Ole Miss, and Southern Miss all won games last night. Ole Miss had a walk-off, and Southern Miss went on the road and won, and Mississippi State smoked Troy. So all y'all are texting me about Jack Bauer. Yes, I know about it. I saw it, and that's exciting. So we'll move in.
Kid, that's not Eddie Bauer's kid.
Yeah, it's Eddie Bauer's kid.
That's what I thought. Hey, kick a deal.
What is Eddie Bauer? I know it was a vehicle, but wasn't it a clothing line?
Was it? Is that where he got it from? I didn't know. I just thought it was the car thing. The
I can't remember, man.
It's a retail store company.
Okay.
Outdoor apparel.
See, I got it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's impressive.
How did he finagle his way into that?
I don't
get on the expos and all that. That's a good move.
Yeah.
It's a household name.
Well, yeah. Household name.
Eddie Bauer.
I haven't really thought about that in a long
it's a household name, man.
Huh?
That's definitely a household name. They don't know it because of Eddie Bauer. They know it because of the vehicle. But that's a good ROI on a business move right there.
All right. You can get in touch with us on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, 601-885-3776. No, Jack Bauer. Some people are going to take us.
Oh, yeah.
And this will be on a message board.
That's not him.
Okay. Whatever Jackson said, he was kidding.
Yes.
All right. Let me go over this again. The Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776. Find us on X at Bo Bounds. And are we on YouTube? Yeah, YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. That's our channel. Out of Bounds Sports. You can see Juice Kiffin and our cool hats and turtle box from Rick's Pro Truck up here. And then the Bud Light caller line is 601-707-3750. Bud Light and burgers tonight for the win. Doesn't that sound good? Yeah. Ice cold Bud Light and some burgers on the grill. That is a win. Let's see. 3-hump camel. Eddie Bauer was never a vehicle. It's a trim package like the King. That's what we meant.
Yeah,
Stop it.
On
Good
now.
grief.
It wasn't Eddie Bauer.
Stop being Mr. Captain Correction or Build a Deck guy. All right. Moose Dog. He was named after Jack Bauer, the TV show, for real.
Yeah,
okay,
Keeper.
that's cool.
Yeah, Sutherland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm pals. Yeah, I got that. Sutherland. Like I've talked about, I served Donald Sutherland wine when he was here for A Time to Kill. People asked me that on a show recently. Who's the most famous person you've met?
Yeah.
Yours would be Carrie Underwood. Is that right? Or no? Because she's a star.
She is a star. I mean, there were a number of stars there. I don't know. I've got to think about that. It may be her. I don't know. Is she a bigger star than Dierks Bentley?
Yes.
Is she?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
She is.
Yeah, she's a bona fide star.
Yes. She's one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah, right? Surely.
Yeah. Carrie Underwood
42.
can sell out anywhere, anytime, any place, any venue, Asia, South America, United States, Europe, it doesn't matter. When you can do that, you're a bona fide superstar.
I'm going to throw a name out here. I may be way off. But what about Dan Aykroyd?
Dan Aykroyd is a star.
Is a star, right? Maybe not. It doesn't have the relevancy today as he did.
With people my age and up, he does.
Sure, right.
Okay, like because of SNL and everything else that, the Blues Brothers and all that.
Right.
I guess it just kind of depends on your palate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're both stars. Carrie Underwood and Dan Aykroyd in their own right. It's just Carrie became a star during the time of social media.
No doubt.
And when you could go see your stars whenever you want.
Right.
Whereas in 1982, you couldn't just pick up your phone and go to YouTube because you love Dan Aykroyd and go see what he had just done the week before at the Improv or wherever he was.
Dang, how cool would that have been, though?
Right. You couldn't do that with Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and all those
That would be
guys.
awesome.
Yeah.
That would be heat.
Mine would be either Matthew McConaughey.
It's a big one.
Donald Sutherland, Sandra Bullock, Samuel L. Jackson. I can't think of it. Who would be the biggest sports?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Breeze.
Yeah.
By default, almost. What about Gordon Ramsay? That's a star. Is he?
That's not the same level.
Is it not?
I mean, that doesn't mean that he's not a star.
Ooh.
Like Cher is a superstar.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Bono is a superstar.
Yeah.
There's a difference here. Right? I mean,
you don't think Ramsey's up there?
At the superstar? What are we talking about? I mean, Mick Jagger? No.
No.
I mean, he's in the 0.01% of stars in the world.
That's right.
I mean, people that don't even the question. It's like when I tell you all the time. You liked the way I framed this up. The way I know if someone in sports is a superstar is if Wendy knows who you are.
Right. That's good.
I mean, she knows who Tiger Woods is, and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
They're superstars. Then they're stars.
Do you think would she have known who Breeze was if he wasn't a Saint?
Well, I don't know.
Obviously,
because that's all she's. I mean that wouldn't make.
Yeah, she.
I don't know how to gauge that. Yes, she knows who. Yes, she knows who Drew Brees is.
She knows who Reggie Bush is.
Now that I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe because of his tie to Kardashian a million years ago, but I have no. I mean, that was even pre-TikTok and all that stuff.
It was.
So I don't know how to frame that up. I'll ask her though today. Or I can ask her. I can text her during the break.
Who Reggie is.
Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. We are the Out of Bounds Show. 1059 The Zone ESPN. Check out our YouTube page. Search Out of Bounds Sports. We're live on it right now. You can see Juice Kiffin, the bobblehead dog, not the real dog.
Right.
YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. We would love for you to hit the subscribe button. Matt Moscona, LSU, Baton Rouge, 8:30.
and I stick him the middle finger. There's no way I'm doing that.
Good morning. Here we go. Matt Moscona coming up, 8:30, ESPN Baton Rouge. Game of the year already. Ole Miss hosting LSU. Did I get it right, Jackson? September 19th? Okay. I cannot believe that's the third game of the season. Oh, man. Pete Golding against Lane Kiffin in Oxford. Third game of the season. And the two teams open up with some, it's a challenging game. Ole Miss, Louisville, neutral field, Nashville, and LSU hosts Clemson.
Yeah.
Probably not going to work out for Dabo, but maybe. Dabo's kind of he's in an interesting spot.
Lane's going to work him.
He could work him.
He's going to work him. Hey, then again, I think Lane's going to work everybody. So
you do?
I don't think dude, it's him. It's his time. It's full circle.
Well, what he did the last 3 years at Ole Miss was insane.
Yeah.
If
he does 80% of that at LSU, he wins one.
Yes. Yeah, with the watered down college football, man, and Bama and Georgia, a shell of themselves, I don't think there's any doubt. And I think, I think Texas is going backwards. So Lane could really expedite this thing. I don't think Auburn will be in the mix. Really, Lane will be competing against Georgia.
If Summerall won 8 games, he'd be competing with Florida.
Yeah, Ole Miss. Pete Golding could get to 8-ish. 10, no way. 9, everything would have to line up. I kind of see in the 8 range. But with that defense coming back, that's a talented group. And Trinidad and Lacey, that's a much, much, much more difficult schedule. And he's never been a head coach. And then, of course, John David Baker as an offensive coordinator is a shell of Lane Kiffin. You go from a top 5 OC to not even a top 50 or possibly even 60 OC. But, again, Trinidad and Lacey could mask John David Baker's deficiencies. And then who else could Lane be competing with? Georgia? Bama?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to count them out necessarily.
No. That's
really it.
Not Drinkowitz.
Nah, not Missouri. Not Texas.
Not
A&M.
Oh.
I don't think. Although Marcel Reed will be a year older. So that's even with Elko kind of doing weird stuff with his staff. Maybe. The coaching in our league is just not that good. There's Lane and Kirby. And then you can just, it's kind of really where your bias, who you like. And
where would
it's
you
Lane and Kirby. It should be DeBoer, but I can't figure out what's going on there.
Would Kyle Whittingham, where would he be at if he was an SEC coach?
That'd be top 3 or 4.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
So Kyle Whittingham, for our listeners, he was at Utah.
Right.
He replaced Urban Meyer at Utah all the way back then and just left Utah. And he retired, and then the Michigan job opened up, as y'all know, because Sharon Moore got in trouble.
Right.
And Kyle Whittingham at Michigan is big.
Big time, right?
Big.
Yeah. He replaced. No, that is a long
Gundy.
time ago.
This is how long they were there. Gundy replaced Les Miles.
Okay.
At Oklahoma State. And Kyle Whittingham replaced Urban Meyer at Utah.
That's incredible.
And when he did that, they were G5.
Yes.
Then they eventually got in the Pac-12, and now they're in the Big 12. But think about that. When Urban and Dan Mullen and that staff and Kyle Whittingham and that staff at Utah went undefeated,
right?
They were not Power 5 or whatever you want to call it. Now it's Power 4, I know. But this was way back when. Okay, when Les Miles left Oklahoma State to go to LSU, Mike Gundy replaced him. And Mike Gundy just got fired this year. That is a long run for Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State and Kyle Whittingham at Utah. Now Kyle Whittingham's at Michigan, and he's the real damn deal.
Yeah, he's been at Utah by
He's not Jim Harbaugh, but he is the real deal.
Right.
So keep an eye on that. He was never going to be able to win a national title at Utah.
No.
At Michigan, you're talking about a tier or two up of player. I know it's cold. I know their location,
They
but
still got
who
'em.
they are, and they're big, and they've been good for a long. I mean, I know overrated a large chunk coming out from World War II to today,
Highly.
but they've also, drive players to the NFL and recruit nationally and all that stuff.
As much as I dislike them, they're still there year after year.
Yeah. Hey, they are. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're brought to you by Total Transportation of Mississippi. TotalMS.com. TotalMS.com. Apply today. And another great Mississippi company. Weekly pay, monthly bonuses. They offer nationwide and regional routes for solo and team drivers at Total Transportation of Mississippi. Go to TotalMS.com to apply today. Weekly pay, monthly bonuses, frequent home time, full benefits powered by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Visit them online, TotalMS.com. Show is also brought to you by Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive behind Ergon. Grit Fitness and Training Facility, that's where Jake Mangum, Connor Griffin, among others, work out. They've got all the specialized classes, indoor turf, outdoor turf, indoor batting cages, pitching mounds. Grit on Lakeland Drive in Flowood behind Ergon. Tour it today, get a monthly membership, and book your softball or baseball team there. Also, shout out to my man Andrew, Richardson's Barber and Salon in Clinton Parkway. Husband-wife team doing a great job. Beautiful, beautiful salon. They've done a great job. It's really, really nice, but they're also low-key and so on. So they do it right. That's for sure. That's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's what they still allow me over there sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
On one side of the city, at least.
There you go. East or west or north or south?
Oh, that's gonna be the east side.
Okay, so you're an east side Clinton guy.
That's right.
All right.
East south, yeah. Southeast.
Okay. Let's go to the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line. We were talking about most famous people you've met.
Mm-hmm.
Bo, I've met 5 superstars.
Ooh.
Elvis Presley,
Whoa.
Muhammad Ali,
Big time.
Taylor Swift,
That's big.
Morgan Freeman,
Okay, I like that.
and Jimmy Carter.
Those are that's a list.
Nice. I've met one of those on that list, Morgan Freeman.
That's a heck of a list.
But I didn't meet Elvis. He was gone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
And Muhammad Ali, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty tight.
And Taylor Swift, Morgan Freeman, Jimmy Carter. All right. Well, there you go.
Jimmy Carter.
What?
Is he a bona fide superstar?
I don't think he's a superstar, but whenever you're president, even if it's
Yeah.
one term of the United States,
You're up there.
you're a name.
No doubt.
Now, he was low key in the background. He didn't Obama's never going to go away.
No.
So he's always going to be front and center, and
Right.
like Lane Kiffin. I mean, he's going to be in front of the cameras, some way, shape, or form. Jimmy Carter wasn't like that.
Yeah. Reserved.
What now?
Very reserved.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, he did some things and
Cowboys fan.
mission trips and whatever. He is.
Was.
He was a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I guess the Falcons were later in his life as an expansion team, and the Cowboys were already up and running maybe, and that was the tie for him, even though he was from Georgia. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, coming up next. right, good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Brought to you by Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance. From the Bolognese to the calamari. Pair it with one of our favorite partners on the show, Tito's. Maybe in a Tito's Espresso Martini. That Bolognese is fantastic. Highly, highly recommend. TasteItalianKitchen.com. In the Renaissance, obviously, there's one in Starkville, too. Beautiful bar, great place. Of course, they've got the fillets and the vodka rigatoni and so on. Super, super good spot. Right down the road from us, not even 2 miles. So, Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance. We want to welcome in Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge LSU insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Matt, do you get into the Mardi Gras thing, and do you get on a float and all that stuff? How does that work for you?
So I did Mardi Gras big in college, like get off of class Friday, had a buddy that went to Tulane, lived, a couple blocks off of St. Charles. And so we'd go there Friday to Tuesday and just did Mardi Gras. And suffice to say, I got Mardi Gras out at that point in my life. But now, in my older years, I love going to some of the big balls. So like the Mardi Gras balls. So my wife and I go to the Endymion Ball, which is the Saturday night deal at the Superdome. So, you put on formals. Gwen Stefani, was the entertainment. The parades come through the dome. Like that's just a big thing. It's a giant party. I'd recommend anybody do once. So did that, did a balcony on Monday night. But my days of like going on the neutral ground and, standing on a ladder and begging for beads and, not really having any place to pee. Like those days are probably over.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, I'm with you. That what you just framed up and described, I can do all that. But the other, I mean, I did it when like you said, we went down there in college and did all that, but, I could do what you were describing. All right, cool. So everybody, like, what is half the state hungover today? You feel like on Ash Wednesday, post Fat Tuesday?
That's probably a good estimate.
Okay.
Or actually, no. Half the state is not in the state. Half this because a lot of the schools are out this week and everything for spring break.
Oh, okay.
So most everybody either goes skiing or goes to Disney. And so, like, a lot of out-of-towners come in for Mardi Gras, and a lot of people from here get out. So the people who remained, half of those, so let's call it a quarter of the state is hungover. A quarter of the state, like me, perfectly fine and working. And the other half of the state is either skiing or at Disney.
Okay. All right, I got to ask you this. How long have you been in sports talk radio, sports marketing, podcasting? How long have you been doing this, Matt?
Let's see. I started in radio in May of 2003, but I did news for about 4 or 5 years. So I didn't really start in sports until May of 2007.
Okay.
About 19, 20 years, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're right around the same timeline. I started here in October of 2003. We were talking about my wife earlier. She's not a sports fan. And she'll watch a little bit, but she's not close to a big sports fan. And I always make this statement. If someone's a star, like if she knows who they are, they're a star, right? Like Tiger, Mahomes, Brady, you know the drill. And so we were talking about Reggie Bush earlier, and I texted her during the break, and I said, hey, do you know who Reggie Bush is? And she went, no, but he sounds like an athlete. Is your wife a big sports fan, kind of likes it, not into, where does she fall?
My wife for the Super Bowl had on a homemade bedazzled Kansas City Chiefs hat and homemade bedazzled boots, Kansas City Chiefs boots, because of Kelsey. And that's only because of Taylor Swift.
Right.
So that should give you some context on my wife's sports fandom. So it's to say your wife and my wife sound like the same person.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're on the same page. Matt Moscona joining us, LSU Insider on 105.9 The Zone ESPN. For our listeners, y'all were asking 20 minutes ago. Yes, I did text Wendy, and she did not know who Reggie Bush was. So which is all good with
Dude,
me.
I do that on air all the time, Bo. Like I'll text my wife, or I'll just video her, or I'll tweet some of the convos we have.
Right.
Like she didn't believe Notre Dame was an independent in our conversation about that. Like she's like, well, that doesn't sound fair. Like, so they just get to do it. I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty logical to play this out. But yeah, so she doesn't like that in baseball they call them runs. She thinks they should be called cha-chings because that sounds more fun.
I like that.
Like these are the sports conversations I have with my wife, who knows very little about sports and cares even less.
Yeah, my daughter's at Mississippi State, and every now and then she'll call me during the fall, and she'll be like, "Hey, Dad, who's MSU playing this week?" And I'll say, "Whoever," and then I'll start kind of getting into it. She went, "No, I just need to know their colors because of my outfit." I'm like, "I got it, okay." Like this year, the Longhorns came in, right, and my Tito's guys came in from Texas, and that was a ton of fun. And I just remember her calling me, and she was like, "Dad, tell me about this team." And I said, "Well, they're da-da." And she went, "No. What?" I went, "Burnt orange and white." She went, "I'm good." Anyway, that's where we are in our household. Sounds like it's just about the same. I want to talk Lane Kiffin. We played some audio earlier about Lane talking about visiting recruits in the portal and going to get them. I know I asked you about this a few weeks ago, but I'm fascinated by him because whether this was fair or not, Moscona, he was kind of labeled as an okay recruiter, I guess, maybe one that wasn't gung-ho. And I don't know what he did at Southern Cal under Pete and if Saban made him rev up at Bama, but something clicked in the last 3 to 6, 7 years, whether that was at Bama, Florida Atlantic, Ole Miss, and he really got into it if he wasn't before. To me, he is setting the precedent, Matt, of now going and getting portal recruits where other coaches were not doing that. Don't you think that shows how advanced and far ahead he is of everybody else, Matt?
So, I mean, I think it's hard to argue with the results that he's had in the portal, not just this year, but even during his time at Ole Miss as the portal ramped up. Right? I know he's like the self-proclaimed portal king, and that's whatever moniker you want to use. But, I used to say here, because remember, Kiffin and Brian Kelly, their timelines overlapped a little, and they took very different approaches. Kiffin was all ham in the portal. Kelly wanted to recruit and build through the high school ranks and then supplement with the portal. And so I kind of always looked at it and was like, well, time will tell which path is better. And both had varying degrees of success. But as we've gone on in this portal era, it's very clear that Lane's approach is the better approach because high school kids just don't stay. You lose a quarter of your high school signing class every year. So by the time those guys would be junior, 3/4 of them are gone. So I do think that it's interesting you said it the way, because I don't know his reputation. Again, like I've quote unquote covered Lane Kiffin now for 3 months. I know of Lane Kiffin. I can't tell everything he did at Ole Miss for 6 years or prior. But what I do understand about Lane Kiffin is he doesn't seem like someone who's very relational. He's very transactional.
Yes.
And I think that's probably served him well in this portal era, because recruiting now is not to say that you don't have relationships with the players, but I think that component is less significant now. And it's more about, okay, how much am I going to make? How are you going to use me? How do I fit in your offense? Almost like an NFL free agent. And I think that structure may serve Lane's personality well.
I agree with that. I do. So you mentioned the transactional part. We've talked to people at Ole Miss, including a couple of players. Somehow Lane can pull off. I know that's where we're going with the portal, but even a few years ago, he doesn't really know that many players on the team. I mean, he's going to know the quarterbacks and maybe a couple more. But isn't that fascinating to you, Matt, that he can have this NFL approach, this Monty Kiffin NFL approach that he grew up in, and it can work, and they'll play hard for whoever you want to say, for him or for themselves or for the team?
I think that's why college game is starting to mirror the pro game more, because all of those guys. I mean, Lane even said it. Whenever these guys are making this money, they have a responsibility. He said in his press conference on signing day that you're not getting paid this, and he used the word salary, for what you've done. It's for what you're expected to do this year. So now you have that leverage on players, and then also it's about them getting to the next level. So it almost feels like you use me, I use you to get to a common shared goal, as opposed to what college sports maybe was for a long time, that it just isn't for most people anymore. For most players, I don't think Trinidad Chambliss is back in college because he just absolutely loves Ole Miss. I mean, I certainly believe he's very grateful for the opportunities and probably does have great affinity for the school, but he's going to make more money at Ole Miss this year than he would have in the NFL, which is why he's coming back to school. Yeah, that's just one isolated. You say the same thing for Joey Aguilar at Tennessee, or go down the list. So no, I just think it illustrates the shift that we've seen in college athletics, which honestly, Bo, is why I've mentioned this to some people, and it's funny the reaction I get. I talked to Roman Harper about this. We're at Super Bowl Radio Row about how, because everyone seems to jump to the conclusion with Lane that it's going to end badly at LSU, which wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, his history is what it is. But my feeling isn't that he would leave LSU for another college job. My feeling is that he would leave LSU for the NFL.
Absolutely.
And Roman told me zero chance he goes to the NFL. I'm like, buddy, I better check that. I mean, I think there's a much better shot of that, especially when you look at Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban sort of being a mentor. And look, we saw that movie in Baton Rouge 20 years ago, where Nick won a championship here and had to scratch the NFL itch and went to Miami. And maybe this is a point in Lane's life where if he wins a championship at LSU and wants to go maybe check the box of the one place in his career he didn't succeed in the NFL, then maybe he looks to do that eventually. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And this doesn't it feel like a training ground in college now for how NFL rosters are built?
Yes, I expect him to go to the NFL. I think he can make an incredible 5-year run or so at LSU, win a title, make another appearance or two in college football playoff. And I agree with you. He wants to be in the NFL and be a head coach and see if he can make a run at a Super Bowl after winning a national championship. He's Matt Moscona, LSU insider on the Out of Bounds show. Do you feel like Lane, in a short period of time, because of the success he had in the portal and securing the high school class and what LSU was able to retain, and this is a watered down college football now, do you think that this is a national championship caliber roster in today's game, Matt?
It better be capable of it. I mean, with the money they just spent, oh my God, bro. They went north of $40 million on this roster. So, and you got the number one player in the portal in Sam Levitt. You got the number one edge rusher, the number one left tackle, the number one safety. I mean, now the onus is on Lane Kiffin and his staff to get all of these very talented players and pieces to be a cohesive unit. But in a 12-team playoff era, if you're not in that 12-team playoff, it is a massive failure. Now, once you get in that playoff, so much depends on your draw. And a lot's been made of, obviously, the layoff that teams who have a bye have to deal with. Look at 2 seasons ago. Oregon was undefeated. They were the number one team. Ohio State got a rematch and waxed them in the Rose Bowl. So sometimes the draw sucks. But for this team, man, I'll tell you both, this is like a 9-3, 8-4 type year for LSU. It will be a categorical failure. There's no other way to classify it. With the investment they've made in Lane, his staff, this roster, they've given him everything. Nobody has told him no. They've given him everything he needed. So, yeah, this should be a team that could compete for it.
How do you think that goes? So Lane gets what he wants. He did at LSU too. At Ole Miss too. And I think it's the right way. I mean, he just pushed people to find a way. I mean, I was told he would go get players and just say, hey, here's how much they cost. Y'all figure it out. How do you think that go? Like, does Glasscock cost? I mean, he's not calling Burge every time, you know, because I'm not sure there is a budget. I think you have a budget and then you blow through it. Like you said, Lane and LSU went north of $40 million. He was going to get who he wanted. How do you think the chain of command or who's communicating on the budget works within the LSU football program and athletic department, Matt?
Well, there's a couple of different convos, right? So, for example, look at Charlie Weiss. Okay, they were going to pay Charlie $2 million per. He kind of flirted with the idea of staying at Ole Miss. LSU bumps it to 2.5. Well, you're going to go to those conversations. That's a different conversation than how you're managing the roster, which is Billy Glasscock working within the confines of the budget. But but I'll try to make this as simplistic as I can, because this is a really, really like deep dive level conversation that might be hard to explain at a surface level for the listener to understand if you're not paying attention to this every day. But effectively, everyone understands, I think, rev share now, right? So you have your $20.5 million, and 75% of that's allocated for football, 15% for men's basketball, 5% for women's basketball, then the other 5% is for every other sport. So how do you go above that number? Well, that's how you get true third-party NIL deals done. Well, what LSU has done really well, and they were very proactive on this, and LSU was not proactive in the collective era of NIL. They started going to corporate partners and through their multimedia rights partner, Playfly Entertainment, and started effectively recruiting advertisers that would do NIL deals. And so hypothetically, let's say a booster in the past might have written $1 million check to the collective. Well, instead of writing $1 million check to the collective from their personal account, in effect, what can happen now is say, write it from your business to NILSU Max, and then let Max take that $1 million and do true third-party NIL deals for your business that can get approved through the clearinghouse. So it may not be one deal for $1 million, you see, for one player, but that $1 million could get spread over 40 players across multiple sports that will get approved through the clearinghouse. And when you're able to grow that pot of money that can be divvied up for all these NIL deals, well, now you're able to effectively afford the guarantees that you've given these players. I don't know if it did a good job explaining that.
No, you did. Yeah.
That's how, I mean, it almost acts like a marketing agency, which I know you and I understand, but like a business will go to a marketing agency, say, I have $100,000 in my marketing budget. And so that agency will take the $100K and then go buy radio and TV and digital and billboards or whatever, right, across the board and spend it that way. It's kind of working the same way here, and I think more schools are going to copy that model.
Matt Moscona on the Out of Bounds show. Were you surprised that Frank Wilson wasn't retained and Ed Ogeron didn't join the staff?
No, on either. Lane has a great relationship with Kevin Smith. I mean, that's kind of his guy who's been with him from FAU and at Ole Miss, and it was always understood that he was going to try to bring Kevin Smith here, and Frank Wilson wasn't going to take a demotion, and I don't blame him. And the Ogeron thing, I know that was a pretty common conversation that was had, but Bo, I never had anybody at LSU in any type of official capacity tell me that was ever a real consideration. I mean, I know he and Lane have a good relationship and friendship that dates back 25 years, but I don't, that felt very much to me like, look, Ed's last buyout payment from LSU was in the middle of December. So I think he's ready to work again because the mailbox money is dried up. And so I think that was always Ed's agent pumping Ed for jobs. But I don't know that that was ever not say it won't ever happen. I just don't think in this cycle that was a real consideration.
I just think it's tough for Eddie O to to go from being a head coach, even the interim at Southern Cal, but then the run at LSU, to even if it's a blue blood like LSU, a huge to go to like D-line recruiting coordinator. I just think that's a tough landing after you've been the top dog. How do you see it, Matt?
I think for any coach that takes a degree of humility, if you're willing to do that, but do you want to keep coaching and do you want to make money?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the approach that any coach would have to take. But I mean, Bo, we see that. I mean, look, Joe Judge was an NFL head coach, and he was an analyst at Ole Miss. So I mean, like, I think the world of coaching has changed so much now, where the money and the opportunities are so vast in so many different places. It's just, do you want to stay in it,
Right.
or do you if you're just hell bent on being the head guy, do you go try to get an FCS job where just the notoriety, the name recognition will follow, or would you rather go be a position coach at a Power Four? I mean, I do think Ed Ogeron would be a great option for a school as a defensive line coach, recruiting coordinator type role, if he's willing to take that role, which
Right.
sounds like he is. It may just be another cycle till he gets it.
Yeah. Because I don't know if he can land a La Lafayette Troy job. Maybe he can. I mean, all it takes is one AD at Florida Atlantic or Troy or Georgia Southern or something like that. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And then Brian Kelly. Yeah, I wonder what, like, I mean, he's made a fortune, as you know, and just got the big buyout. But like, what does his future look like? What will he? I wonder what he'll do.
I don't know that Brian Kelly loved this era. I think Brian Kelly is very similar to Nick Saban,
Dabo,
and Bob Stoops,
Yeah.
and Dabo to a degree, and he's of that era that had Brian Kelly never won a championship, but he was the winningest active coach in college football.
no doubt.
And won a ton of games everywhere he had been. And I don't think this era of roster building suited him. And so I would probably be surprised if he's back in. I think you're more likely to see Brian Kelly work in TV. He's very good with the media. He's very good on air. I think that's probably a more likely path for him.
Dude, that was fun. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge on the Out of Bounds show. Appreciate you, man.
Anytime, Bo. Thanks, bud.
Matt Moscona on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The show is brought to you by Sound and Communications. If you need a video wall for your business, conference room, lobby, hotel, your high school, your college, your arena, they've done it all. Sound and Communications. SoundcomAV.com. That's 1M. SoundcomAV.com for your next video wall for your business or school. Let's talk Gus Malzahn on the other side.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Oh, wow. Woo!
Go bounce. Go bounce. Go bounce.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. I'm supposed to say that every time. I know I say it all the time. It's what we're supposed to do. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, the Out of Bounds Show, Bo Bounds, Jackson Meadows. You can call him Straight Funk. You can call him the Bootleg Baker. Ice cream drinks, double down, whatever direction you want to go. Brad still wants to know where we landed when we kind of did the call to action last week on the different nicknames that we've given Straight Funk over the years. I think my favorite's Straight Funk, but I like all of them. I mean, I like ice cream drinks because it's funny as hell, and I like Double Down because he gambled. I mean, I don't want him to like bet money he can't bet, but because he bet money on women's tennis in the Philippines and then ping pong in the Czech Republic, or what was it called? I don't.
Shit.
Okay, yeah. And then the Bootleg Baker, among other names that y'all have recommended, are really, really good. But good morning, welcome in ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Look, where do we want to go here? Brought to you by Madison Ridgeland Academy. Boy, different deal endorsing MRA today compared to when we started, because when we started our partnership with Madison Ridgeland Academy, of course, they're on Friday Night Lights, and that was a smart move by them and a smart move by us. And they get to be on a 50,000 watt FM, and they kind of lined up where they started winning big.
Right.
And played in like 7 title games and won 3.
That helps.
But the academics, they run an academics partnership on the show. And when we started, we're driving people there to visit the MRA campus to possibly go. Now today they're full. K through 12, and with a waiting list. Now, they have a couple of spots most all the time in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And every now and then, maybe a spot or two here and there. But if you just had a child, I know this sounds crazy. It's so weird from doing this 15 years ago compared to today. But if you have a newborn, and you're not sure what direction you want to go, I mean, there's great options. Even Termy Land says there's wonderful options in the Jackson metro area, public and private. We sell and love our option. But if you have a newborn, you're going to want to get on the list and pay the deposit. If you even think there's a chance that you're going to want to put your child in there K4, 5, or whatever it is. So. But Madison Ridgeland Academy, I didn't know that. I stopped by a friend's yesterday who runs a business, and his kids are still at MRA. So he's got younger kids than me. I'm not as plugged in as I once was when my 2 were there. And I was talking about Richard DeWeese, his last year. I can't believe it's his last year to coach basketball. I can't believe he turned 74, I think, yesterday. Happy birthday, by the way, to Coach Richard DeWeese. I played for him, was fortunate. And this guy was filling me in on the girls' team and the boys' team and being in the overall tournament. The boys lost their point guard last Friday. So that's kind of heartbreaking for me because I want DeWeese to go out, with the championship. But evidently, according to this guy who filled me in, he was like, dude, this kid could play. I mean, he was the orchestrator and facilitator of the. I mean, I know Dan Pierce kid's phenomenal, and the Bezot kid can play. And
I got to feed him though.
That's great, But man, if you've got a point guard that facilitates, orchestrates, understands exactly what the Hall of Fame coach on the sideline wants, that makes the Hall of Fame coach on the sideline's job easier.
So much.
It also makes everybody else's job easier. And so I didn't know that, and I hate to hear that, but
Especially headed overall.
right at Mississippi College this week, or I guess today and yesterday. I don't know when all the schedule is, but yeah. So if you have a newborn and it's in consideration in your household, we've all been there. I've had those conversations with Wendy a million years ago. You have those. I don't want to say Wendy and I mean, there's some people that are like uptight, tense, and everything's, kind of white knuckled in every decision they make. I mean, Wendy and I had a couple of conversations, but it wasn't something that just got beat to death. But, my kids had a good experience at MRA, and when we did the partnership and everything, it made sense. But yeah, if you have a newborn, you probably want to go ahead and go over there, tour the campus, and get the deposit in and at least be in line, or there won't be a spot 4 years later when they start K4 or K5. I know that sounds crazy. So anyway, that's the deal. And we wish, hopefully, maybe they can pull it out, even losing their point guard.
Really good.
I don't know.
They're still good.
I'm not up to speed on everything that's going on there. Did Jackson State beat Bethune-Cookman yesterday?
They did.
So I like Mo Williams.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
We've hung out. He's been on the show, but when he was doing his charity thing for several years there, when he was with the Cavaliers and brought LeBron in, I don't know, I helped do it. I mean, I wasn't the driving force. Johnny Ray and others did a lot. But it was just fun to get to know him. Did they beat Bethune? Well, I was at Taste Italian Kitchen yesterday for a late lunch. I had a meeting during lunch, so had a late lunch, and I had to have some of that tomato soup and Caesar salad that I'd been talking about. It's just smoked. It's just delicious. And it was on when I was at the I just sat at the bar real quick and did a soup and salad and kept rolling. And it was on, and it was back and forth, but I didn't see how it was finished.
They did win.
Good.
They did.
That makes them, I think, 8-5 in the conference, which is strong for Mo. Their overall record isn't good, but don't look at that because they play like Kansas and all these teams to get money for the athletic. I mean, he's got to take a bunch of losses in November and December to do what they have to do to get where they want to go, bottom line.
That's right.
But Bethune had a great record in conference. They were like,
they were on the top.
So if J-State's 8-5 today, I want to say Bethune had already had double-digit wins in conference. So good for Mo. I hope that they can find some magic down the stretch. J-State would be crazy to move off of him because that every job now is challenging, but that's not an easy place. You can win there, but it's not an easy place to win.
Bethune was 10-2 heading into that game.
I knew they had a good conference record.
Now 10-3.
Okay.
They are the
good for Jackson State,
yeah.
man. They had one dude that made 2 shots. I'm talking about now Ruffin's there that was at Ole Miss, right?
Yeah,
I feel like he's been around forever.
He has. Good kid.
But there were a couple of shots made while I was watching it and scarfing down my lunch. I was starving. And I did the thing where I dropped the croutons in the tomato soup.
Some little Deshaun Ruffin.
Yeah, Deshaun Ruffin. He's still at Jackson State. Yeah. So
came home.
No kidding. Is today Thursday? No. Okay, got it. But I'm a Mo Williams guy.
Could be.
And if something happens, then I hope Chris Jans hires him as a recruiter and offensive coordinator. I would. I'd hire Stan Jones and Mo Williams.
Yeah.
And I'd just figure it out. Hey, what is exactly their role? Well, they're both good coaches, and we'll just figure it out. But anyway, Jans is going to have to reboot that stat. We can talk a little bit about that. I know I was supposed to talk Gus Malzahn. I'm sorry. I just got that text. We will talk Gus Malzahn, former Auburn, Central Florida head coach, who has now retired, coming up next. Oh. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Yeah, Gus Malzahn retires. You think Auburn's regretting firing him? I mean, we said that years ago. It's been a disaster since. Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze. Those were, and Hugh was close. I know it's, a lot of you love to pick on Hugh, and a lot of you were part of the cult of Hugh Freeze when he was at Ole Miss, which was scary. But post Gus Malzahn, they have been, well, maybe not as big a disaster as like Mississippi State or Arkansas, but it's been a disaster on the Plains with Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze. Now, again, Hugh had a phenomenal DC and some other good guys on the staff. Derek Nix. Derek Nix is now, and this is weird to say, at the University of Alabama with Kalen DeBoer. And Nix is from Alabama. I mean, I know he played at Southern Miss and spent 15 years at Ole Miss or whatever it was, but, you know, he told us that story when he went into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame last summer of how everything went down with him as a high school player and how he ended up at Southern Miss and so on. But Gus Malzahn, you know, he played for a national championship or as the head coach. And they almost won it. Florida State goes down the field with Kelvin Benjamin and Jameis Winston right at the end of the game through that touchdown pass right under the crossbar. In the back of the end zone to win it. But Gus and them, I mean, he did that with Nick Marshall and really not a lot of stars, so to speak, on offense. And then Gus was the offensive coordinator with Cam Newton under Gene Chizik when they won it over Oregon. And they drove down the field with Cam and Michael Dyer and kicked the field goal to beat the Ducks. And I think Chip Kelly. You know, Gus is just a hell of a football coach. High school, he won. Arkansas State, he won. Auburn, he won. And tough as hell. Man. Beat Saban 3 times. And he was there when Saban was at his peak.
Right.
You know, the height of the Alabama dynasty. So you have to remember that. It's not like that today. I mean, Gus took the job when Saban already had it rolling. And every year that he was there, Saban had it rolling. And Gus's teams were tough. They recruited well. They didn't quite do maybe what you thought they were going to do at wide receiver while he was there, but he always was able to kind of figure it out at quarterback and running back. He obviously loved running the football, which is smart.
Doesn't get the credit he's due.
No, because even with what he did, he was in the same state as Saban.
Yeah.
And Auburn post Gus Malzahn has been a disaster.
Is he not credited with the hurry up and implementing the hurry up and the no huddle pretty well?
No, I mean that.
I know it was there before, but he was one of he took it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean he was one of several that that like to go with tempo and do some. I mean he was really creative in the run game, and he wanted a dual threat guy. I can't remember that guy that he did have at Auburn for a minute that wasn't a dual threat guy, little white dude that looked like he was like kind of boxy and 5'11".
Oh man,
I don't remember who he was. Dan owned him there for a minute.
Oh my God.
Well, Dan won in 14 and 15. He didn't win in 13. Remember what happened? Gus and Dan went head to head in 2013. Mullen had to go down the plank. So Tyler Russell got knocked out of the game. I guess the week before or 2 weeks. That was Dak's first start as a road game. Dak was incredible. Led him down the field. They were Mississippi State down the field. They were up in 2013, and then Auburn went down the field. If you remember, Nick Marshall threw a pass in the right side of the end zone to someone. They caught it and won in a close game. The next year, Nick Marshall would come in as a top 5 team in Malzahn, and Mississippi State beat them. But Gus was good. Good.
Man.
And it was at a time, again, where Nick was a monster. Nick had built a monster. He had been there for several years prior to Gus arriving. And once they fired Chiswick and hired Gus, he did a hell of a job. And within a whisker of a national championship.
He's credited with the expediting of the no huddle and the hurry up.
Yeah, I mean, that was around long before Gus.
I guess it's because he published the book.
Oh, he wrote a book?
Yeah, called The Hurry Up, No Huddle, an offensive philosophy.
Well, there you go. Good for him.
And the Auburn quarterback you were thinking of, I believe, was going to be Sean White.
Yes, Sean White. That was like a surprise for me with Gus.
Well, what are you doing here?
I don't know. He couldn't really move. Anyway, I'm not going to do it. He was just a nice player. He just didn't have, I mean, I'm not an evaluator and I'm not a football coach and I don't know what they know.
Sure.
I just love the game. But I could watch him for 5 minutes and know that he was really, really limited.
Right.
Athletically and skill wise.
Did he have
kind of surprised me.
Was he still there with Stidham? Yeah. Yeah.
What now?
He had Stidham, right?
Yeah, from Baylor?
Uh-huh.
Or did Stidham go to Baylor?
And Bo Nix, right? He caught the first year of Bo.
It may have been more than that, but yes, he signed Bo Nix.
Okay.
And then they threw him in too early. Now,
yeah.
I mean, Gus nobody makes every decision is right, but there was because of his famous last name coming in from the Birmingham metro area,
right.
A phenomenal high school player. Bo played too early. Then we had a lot of people label him as he wasn't good, which we said that was not accurate. And then he went to Oregon, and you get older. If you're older, like Fernando Mendoza and Trinidad Chambliss, it kind of helps. I mean, Arch Manning looked like a damn deer in headlights for several games this past year.
Yeah.
It was his first. That doesn't mean that Arch isn't good. It was his first year to start. Camario Taylor was a true freshman. And they didn't play him enough early, and then they played him late, and then they decided to start him against Ole Miss in the battle for the Golden Egg. Ole Miss had one of the better defenses in the country. And now Camario, like everything's on the line for Levy, and it's on a true sophomore.
Yep, that you didn't play.
That this guy's skilled. He's got a skill set and talented, but man, he's still young. Like you want a junior or a senior or a fifth year as your QB. Even Carson Beck was able to make plays because he's so much older for Miami, and he'd been there and seen it and done it. And when he had to make a play against Ole Miss and prior to that against A&M or whoever, he did. But yeah, Gus is a hell of a coach. I can't believe I feel like he's young. I wonder if he's really gonna.
He's retired till he gets a better offer.
Yeah, he doesn't like he's like Brian Kelly, Dabo, all these. He doesn't like the new era.
He's 60.
That's it? I mean, dude, I know he's got a ton of money, but
years left in there. Multiple.
He's gotten better with the media. He's not just super outgoing, even though he obviously could recruit. I don't know how Gus is pretty dry.
Yeah.
But could he translate on TV? I think he could.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's something that he wants to do. Gus may disappear for a minute. Just wherever, Lake House. I mean, he's been going for 38 years as a coach. Right? So he may disappear. He can do what he wants. He was with Florida State this past year, which was weird, with Norvell as, I guess, the OC, even though they're both offensive guys. I've got a great question on Jeff Levy on the Golden Moon Casino text line and what he needs to do to fix Mississippi State football. We'll discuss on the other side. Good morning. Hey. Out of bounds. Driven by Fowler GMC and your next GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon, FOWLER, FowlerGMC.com. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN.
It is not super hard to get to Omaha.
Show is brought to you by the Hail State Baseball Omaha Collection by Peter Millar at the Rogue Men's Store. Unbelievable golf shirts, hoodies, quarter zips, M over S on the chest, and really cool logos on the sleeve. The Hail State Baseball Omaha Collection by Peter Millar at the Rogue Men's Store in Jackson. You can go online too, by the way. They've got them online, and you can go to their social media and see the pictures. In fact, they're tagging us on X at Bo Bounds this morning. They already pushed out some tweets. So, again, the Rogue Men's Store has the Hail State Baseball Omaha Collection, Peter Millar, super, super cool merch, hoodies, quarter zips, golf shirts, all at the Rogue Men's Store in Jackson. Spring Street Cigars is there too. Beautiful cigar bar and lounge. If you go, let us know. We'll meet you there. We mentioned Gus Malzahn retiring. He had a hell of a run in football at the high school and college level. And he's just a good football coach and did a fantastic job at Auburn at a time when Nick was the czar and the king of college football. We'll see who the next king of college football is going to be. Then it was Kirby for a second. And now, because of the portal and the leveling of the playing field, we're kind of all over the place. But Lane Kiffin may be the next guy.
Kirby was more of a prince.
You think?
What a king.
Okay.
Nah. It's like that. I mean, that's like the superstar tiers, you know? Kirby was never that top tier.
Well,
it wasn't a Nick type deal.
Well, no, but he was still played for 3, 1, 2.
Yeah.
You know, he went on a good run there.
Close as you get.
Yeah. I mean, I know it hasn't, no one's been as good the last several years as they were prior to the portal, you know, spreading everything out. So, right?
No.
Let's drop the Kiffin audio again. Lane Kiffin was asked, hey, you know, what's made you decide to go and instead of hosting portal recruits, which they do, you also go to them. Like Sam Levitt was on a visit to Tennessee and Kiffin flew to Knoxville. Seaton, the offensive tackle that left Colorado, and it was between LSU and Miami and Oregon and Mississippi State. Seaton was in Atlanta hosting Oregon, and Kiffin flies over there. Well, I mean, that's smart. He's recruiting. He's selling. He's trying to close. And he wasn't sure if they did that on the visit, and so he wanted to make sure. This is Lane Kiffin talking about his philosophy.
I'm extremely competitive, and I don't really do well with no. So that just makes me more competitive when someone says no. So sometimes that happens in recruiting. They say no, but I think that's my job. That's my job to LSU. And kind of on a different note, when people ask about the social media and why do you do it, everything that I do is for the place of where I coach at. For that school, for those players and those fans. And that makes me not very liked a lot of times by other ones. And so it's the same in that. Like my job, I'm hired here, is to go sign the best players, regardless of whether that means I got to go get on another plane or find a plane and show up somewhere and walk through Knoxville Airport, you know, to find the guy. And that's just kind of how I work. And I like that because I think that wires in really with Louisiana people, because I think that's how they think. Like, No job's too small, and find a way to go get it done. No,
All right, so that was Lane Kiffin talking. He's spot on. I don't know what Lane was before, but let's just say starting with Alabama and I guess looking at and watching and witnessing Saban's relentless pursuit on everything, and then taking that to Florida Atlantic and Ole Miss and now LSU, he's all in. Whatever he was, whether he was or wasn't, he is now a relentless recruiter.
That's right.
Okay, we talk about Kirby and Mario Cristobal and Dan Lanning. Those are really the three big game headhunters. Lane is in that space now. When it happened, I don't know, and I don't know if I guess it is fun to debate, how gung-ho he was at Southern Cal and this and that. But now today he realizes that he has to get on a plane, even though he's at LSU. He's wearing one of the biggest brands in the country. He's wearing one of the biggest brands in the country. And Sam Levitt visits, doesn't commit. He's not sure. He goes to Tennessee to see Heupel. And, Tennessee's got a good program. And Knoxville's a cool place. And they love football. And Kiffin flies up there. And evidently, I think, from what I picked up, wasn't sure where but I think they may have met at the airport.
They did.
And then with the Seton dude, the offensive tackle, he flies to Atlanta to make sure that Dan Lanning or Mario Cristobal or, I guess Mississippi State didn't get him. I still think it was in LSU, Oregon, Miami, but
It was.
But his uncle or handler or whatever was definitely taking in everybody's offers. But give Lane credit. He's now up there with Kirby Smart, Mario Cristobal, and Dan Lanning.
He's the upper echelon.
I'd probably say Ron Day. And look, a lot of it is the pullover they wear.
Yeah.
And if you wear that pullover and you're relentless. You can be relentless at Virginia Tech and
Big James,
South Carolina, and so on. But when you're at a national brand name, blue blood, and you're relentless, boy, that's a good mix. If you're wearing the Georgia pullover, LSU pullover, Ohio State, as we all know, Oregon, and so on. And now Lane is it may be the best job in the country, or it's top three, as we talk about all the time, LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. And Matt Moscona just told us that they spent over $40 million.
Yeah.
So basically, Lane, and this worked. He pushed Ole Miss to be better. He spent money that they didn't have, and then he just said, well, go find it, which is the way to do it. I don't care if you're football or basketball or baseball, just spend it and say, figure it out. And that's what Lane did. And that's what he does with LSU.
Well, yeah, he asked for forgiveness, not permission.
That's exactly right. Now, on the text line, Attorney Reb asked me, Bo, give me your 3 changes, fixes to Mississippi State football. Then tell me why State isn't already doing it. Attorney Reb. Okay. Well, one of the biggest challenge for Lebby is what already happened. Lebby hired Coleman Hutzler. I don't think Lebby would be on the hot seat if he'd have hired just a Zach Arnett level DC. And Zach's not a top 30 defensive coordinator by any stretch, but he's more than solid. And he's not god-awful like Coleman Hutzler. So Jeff has backed him by hiring Coleman Hutzler, who had never been a defensive coordinator and wanted to run an Alabama defense without anywhere close to the personnel, and didn't bring any players with him, and so on. That's what's put, Jeff was already new, right? He had never been a head coach. He's learning on the job. And he'd only had 2 years of experience as an offensive coordinator, 1 good year at Oklahoma, 1 not good year at Oklahoma. And so when you mix that together and hiring Coleman Hutzler, he's put himself behind the 8 ball. He's 7-18 overall, 1-15 in conference play at a time when the league hasn't been good. The league is a shell of what it was 5 years ago. The powers are not dominant anymore. And the other teams that had been good at times had not been good. Auburn, Florida, among others. So the Coleman, I think if you just plugged in a Zach Arnett level defensive coordinator the last 2 years, Jeff would be right around 500.
Yeah. Oh.
And people would be like, oh, okay. Jeff's 12-13 or 13-12. And maybe you want some more wins, but it's not like the flaming hot seat he's on right now. I think Jeff went and got Blake Shapen, and that was a risk because Shapen had a history of being injured, and in year one he was injured, and then Jeff ran it back with Shapen when he had some other options. Again, by the time Levy got there, they had money. In his first year, they had money. Jeff Chase, I think, Jeff chased a high school class that first December he was there. And hindsight 2020, Selman and Levy would tell you off the record that they should have focused those first 3 weeks in December on portal. So what else? Coleman Hutzler. Yeah, Jeff's still trying to develop into a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't know what can be. Arnett will be. Look, Arnett's an upgrade, and it's a significant up. I mean, it's not like hiring Pete Kwiatkowski, but that's not fair. Arnett will make the defense better. The question is it too late? The path. I'm looking at the schedule right here. The path to 6 wins. La Monroe game 1. You should win that game. And then it gets real. I mean, I think you're going to know in September. Then it goes at Minnesota, at South Carolina. I mean, can you split those two? Missouri at home. You need to get that one. I think they'll take a step back. Bama at home. Bama's not the Bama of old. But I don't know if you have the horses in the line of scrimmage. And then the flip side is you were up 17 on Texas this year. And you were up on Tennessee this year in the fourth quarter. At LSU is not going to be a win. Oklahoma at home. I think that game should be in play, but it may not. Oklahoma was not that. I know they made the college football playoff. They were 6th on defense and 66th on offense. I thought they were a solid team this past year. And Venables kind of tripped over some things, and they went to the college football play. Then they got beat by Bama at home.
That's right.
I don't know. And Bama couldn't even run the football. Talking about one-dimensional. Oklahoma at home. At Texas, no. Here it is. This is where Jeff's got to keep his job. Vanderbilt at home without Diego. Auburn at home. Tennessee Tech at home. You got to make hay there. All 3 games at home. None of those teams are going to be like scary good. Vanderbilt without Diego Pavia, Auburn in first year of Alex Golish, and Tennessee Tech. Those 3 games all at home. That's, to me, Jeff's got to make hay. He's got to split at Minnesota and at South Carolina, which will be extremely difficult. Win Missouri at home, and that 3-game stretch. Vanderbilt at home, Auburn at home, Tennessee Tech at home. I don't expect them to win at Ole Miss.
No.
With Trinidad Lacey and that defensive front that Ole Miss has, even with Golding being a new coach and John David Baker not being a good OC. That's the way I see it. So if you want to go swing games, at Minnesota, at South Carolina, got to win one. Missouri at home, got to win that game. Vanderbilt at home, super winnable. If you've done what you're supposed to do, as a coach and strength and conditioning program and all the stuff that we're going through right now that starting last month for the 8 months leading into the season, like everybody else is doing. If you've done what you're supposed to do, Missouri should be a more than winnable game. Vanderbilt at home. Oh, by the way, Missouri's at home. Vanderbilt at home without Diego, should be a more than winnable game. Auburn at home, again, more than winnable. And Tennessee Tech, so that's it. That's your path to, I don't know if 6 will do it. Steve Robertson said 7. If you're going 7, he's going to have to beat La Monroe and at Minnesota. That's 2. Missouri at home. That's 3. Vanderbilt at home. That's 4. Auburn at home. That's 5. Tennessee Tech at home. That's 6. And then you got to find one. The other, the next most winnable game would be Oklahoma at home. Oklahoma's never been to Starkville, I don't think. Maybe they were back in 1947, but I don't think Oklahoma has played in Starkville. So Venables and crew will bring in, I tell you what though, speaking of we talk about tailgating and when it's hot as hell, dude, the way your schedule lines up, you get 3 home games in November. That could be fantastic pullover weather. Speaking of the Peter Millar, Hell State stuff at the Rogue Men's Store. But anyway, you got Vanderbilt, Auburn, Tennessee Tech, 7th, 14th, 21st in November. That's good tailgating spots right there. And Oklahoma is October 24th. So I feel like you've had way too many home games in September the last couple of years. This thing looks pretty good as far as good weather and tailgating. Now, you may not be winning games. I don't know. Hey, I know I didn't go over 3 things. I went over several. Look, Camario and Levy are going to have to, it can be done. They're going to get to work together every day in the facility, and then they get 15 practices in the spring and 30 before the first game against La Monroe. Camario and Levy are going to have to really, really get going because Camario's still a baby. He's a true sophomore. He's not these older guys that Sam Levitt at LSU, Trinidad at Ole Miss. Arch is now a redshirt junior at Texas. Marcel has now played a lot at A&M. Gunner has now got 1 full year, even 1 full year under his belt at Georgia. Gunner Stockton. Remember, Carson Beck was the starter 2 years ago. So Camario is still really, really raw and really, really, even though he's talented, he's really raw and inexperienced. So I don't know how to do it because I'm not a coach or an OC, but Jeff and Camario have to expedite Camario's development as much as and they can. I just don't know if it will happen. But also Camario's got to put in the work. He's got to live at the facility every single month, every single week from now until week 1. Can he do it? Yeah. He's got all the, if Mike McIntyre says what he said about him, I get it. But Camario may be 2 years away, not this year, but next to really, look, Jeff has proven that he can throw the ball down the field, and he's had more explosive plays than Mississippi State is used to in their history. I know Dan did some good things and Leach did some good things on the offensive side of the football, but Jeff in year 1 with Kevin Coleman, that was, they threw it down the field and made some things happen. Year 2 with Brennan Thompson, who they're talking about, was it Dane Brugler or somebody on Twitter yesterday talking about Brennan could break the 40 time at the combine here coming up.
Dang.
And he and what's his name were doing their podcast together, and I was reading the deal. And that's, you want explosive plays, and you want to be able to stretch the field, and you want to be able to go vertical. I don't want to take anything away from Levy on that. But to me, where the sweet spot is, where all the honey and nectar and gold and all that, it's the short and intermediate game. To win, what Lane does and what some others have done, even Indiana, man, you've got to have a polished, short, and intermediate passing game, okay, because it's more efficient. I mean, I love throwing the ball down the field, but it's obviously tougher to throw it 35 yards in the air hoping that your receiver catches it and then, makes a big play. The short, there's a reason why Belichick and Brady did what they did for so long, starting back in 2004, right? The short, a polished, short, and intermediate passing game to me, see, that travels. Like on weekends, on Saturdays where all the blank is hitting the fan, a short and intermediate passing game bails you out. And I don't know if Kamara, I think he's got a chance to have it at some point in his career. I don't know if he'll be polished in the short and intermediate passing game by September. He may be, but it may be later. That's okay. I mean, Arch Manning wasn't polished. He got to sit, redshirt. Camario didn't. Then he sat as a redshirt freshman, and then he played last year. Camario's trajectory's different. Trinidad got to sit, play at a D1 AA or whatever the hell you want to call it level, then started Ole Miss as an older player. That's the way I see it with Camario and Levy have to get going. And they have to expedite his development. I mean, really the way for Jeff to save his job is for Camario to win 2 games, which he's capable of pulling the ball down, running for 28 yards, changing the game on a play in the fourth quarter, and you winning. He can do that. He can run for 100. Look at some of these other guys that have run for 100 yards rushing on Saturday. Camario can do that. But what I can't wait to see, and not necessarily against La Monroe, but at Minnesota game 2 and at South Carolina game 3, what does Camario's touch look like out in the flat, mesh routes, things like that? Is he comfortable looking in the middle of the field and throwing a crossing route, 8 yards from the line of scrimmage, which to me, those are just beyond valuable. Those move the chains. Or they give you as y'all know, they give you 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2. That's I know that was long. That's my answer on Levy. I don't know if it's too late with the Coleman Hutzler stuff. It could have been avoided. This could all been avoided. But you're 7-18 overall, 1-15 in conference play. So we're just gonna have to see. Let the chips fall where they may. How much did they upgrade in the line of scrimmage, O-line and D-line in the portal? I mean, I think it's a slight upgrade, but is it like, did they hit on one dude on each side? That would be huge. We'll see. Arnett will make them better. Arnett and Camario can make them better. Can it get Jeff to 6 or 7? I don't know. Y'all may need to start drinking Bud Lights at lunch at Martin's in Livingston after I went over that. I don't think I was too harsh. All right, we are the Out of Bounds Show. And we're brought to you by the super cool Hail State Baseball Omaha Collection Peter Millar gear at the Rogue Men's Store.